Hello everyone and welcome back to Classic Comics. Today I'm reviewing Heroes Reborn number 5. So it's been over a week since my last video. So I'm in a bachelor's program to get a new bachelor's degree, and it's an accelerated course, so I'm just getting a lot thrown at me real quick. I've got multiple assignments due every day. I actually just had a exam earlier today. I've got at least one exam every week for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Now, hopefully after June, I think my schedule is going to open up a little bit and I'll be able to post more. But between now and then, posting videos is going to be a little slow, I'm afraid. So if you're wondering why I haven't been posting, that's why. But anyway, I've got Heroes Reborn here. So this issue focuses on Nighthawk, who is the Batman counterpart in the squadron. Now, there have been multiple versions of Nighthawk in Marvel Comics over the years. Now, the original one was a Caucasian guy, Kyle Richmond, and he was a member of the Squadron Sinister, which was the group of supervillains that was created by the Grandmaster to fight the Avengers way back in like the late 60s. Now, subsequently, that Kyle Richmond, he went to jail and then he reformed and he became a hero, and he actually was a member of the Defenders for many years. He was pretty much a mainstay of that team from about the mid-70s to early 80s. And then there was the Squadron Supreme version of Nighthawk, who was from, a parallel Earth. And he was basically identical to the mainstream Marvel Earth version. Really not all that different. So in the early 2000s, J. Michael Straczynski did a new version of the Squadron Supreme, kind of a darker, edgier version. And he created a new version of Nighthawk. That Nighthawk was African American. He had a different costume. And he had a much more kind of different attitude. Basically, his parents had been killed by some racist white people. So basically, he hated white people himself. He was pretty racist himself. But he was an interesting character. Now, in this crossover story, in this parallel Earth that's been created, this version of Nighthawk is kind of a mashup of the two different versions. It's the African-American version of Kyle Richmond, but he's wearing the costume of the earlier Caucasian version. And also the Caucasian version that was in the Defenders, at one point he took a serum that gave him superhuman strength at night, when the sun is down and it's nighttime. And this version of Nighthawk has that also. So he's kind of a combination of the two. So we start off now. This is actually Kraven the Hunter here. He has escaped from Ravencroft Asylum, which is kind of their version of Arkham. Obviously, they lean real heavy into the Batman parallels. And this costume is basically the Squadron Supreme version of Nighthawk that Michael Straczynski created. This was the costume that Nighthawk wore in that version of the Squadron. So I think this is supposed to be like him putting on this costume to kind of embarrass Nighthawk or shame him or something like that. But anyway, he's on a killing spree, and Nighthawk takes him out. And then he goes into Ravencroft Asylum, and it's one of these stories where the inmates have staged an uprising and taken over the asylum. They've massacred the staff. And then we jump back to earlier in the day, and Kyle Richmond, in this reality, he's a congressman. He represents Washington, D.C., actually. And he's in the middle of proposing some new legislation. Then his signal watch goes off, I guess, warning him that there's a problem. So then he ducks out and he has a life model decoy duplicate, which he sends out to sponsor the legislation and give a speech for him. Then, and I don't know where this in his office, I guess. I don't know where this is, but he's got a bat pole somewhere in the Capitol building, apparently, and he drops down the pole into his night cave, which is beneath the Capitol building, I guess. I don't know. And anyway, he hops in his hawk rod, which is what he calls his vehicle, and heads to Ravencroft. Then we catch up to the story we saw earlier. And, of course, the place is filled with his opponents, just like with Batman. And we see here in this panel, we've got the Lizard. I believe this is supposed to be Bullseye. This is Sabretooth. I'm not sure who this guy is with the bandages on his face. Anyway, he fights them, beats them, kind of like with all these stories. Really, he fights pretty formidable villains and just takes them out a little too easily. Then he faces the Black Skull. Now, in the first issue, we saw him fighting the Black Skull, and apparently in this reality, just like similar to Spider-Man, he got this black costume that turned out to be an alien symbiote, the Venom symbiote. And he got rid of it, but then it apparently latched onto the Red Skull and became the Black Skull, and now he's here in in Ravencroft, and he's loose. And Dr. Octopus is in here. He takes them out, and then he fights Deadpool. Deadpool's one of his enemies, and again defeats him a little too easily. But this is all heading to a showdown with the Green Goblin. Now, I wanted to review this issue. This is Marvel Double Action, and but I don't have time to do a separate review, so I'm just going to talk about it here. But basically, this kind of tells the story. This is basically a pastiche of the death of Gwen Stacy, what we find out in this comic, and this is supposed to have taken place years earlier. And in this reality, the Falcon became Nighthawk's sidekick, basically. And then he winds up being killed by the Green Goblin. And again, it kind of is a parallel to the death of Gwen Stacy. There's a big showdown on, I forget, which bridge is it? Is it, I keep thinking Brooklyn Bridge. Oh no, Chesapeake Bay Bridge. There's a showdown on top of the bridge. He knocks Falcon off. And then Nighthawk tries to save him, catches him by the leg, but then that causes his neck to break, and it kills him. And then, of course, Nighthawk is tempted to kill the Goblin, but in the end, he resists the urge to kill him and instead has him arrested. But anyway, this is very good. I actually really enjoyed this. The art is by Dan Jurgens, so it gives it a nice kind of retro feel. And Tim Seeley wrote it. He does a pretty solid job. But anyway, that kind of informs us on why they're having this showdown. And then he's holding Gwen Stacy hostage. And apparently he has some kind of goblin gas, kind of like the Joker gas. And he's affected Gwen Stacy with it, so she's actually kind of nuts. And then she attacks him, so he attacks her with some of these throwing blades he has. But then she pulls one out and throws it at Goblin and gets him like right in the eye with it. I gotta say, overall, the art, I've kind of liked the art in it. It's kind of rough, but it suits the material well. The way the characters, their expressions are kind of distorted and really making them freakish looking. It kind of fits the feel of the story. But the storytelling panel to panel here in these few pages, it doesn't work well. You really have to kind of look over it a couple of times to understand what's happening. But anyway, she threw one of these blades at Goblin and gets him in the eye with it. He falls to the ground. And he basically, again, he's trying to get Nighthawk to kill him. He wants to be killed. And Nighthawk refuses. And then he's very badly wounded, but Nighthawk calls in the paramedics to save him. And then Goblin, in his cell, he had Silver Witch next to him, and I don't know where Silver Witch went. She's gone. But apparently she told the Goblin about how this reality is fraudulent. It's not the real universe. And he begs Nighthawk, please don't let them change it back. Don't let them change the world back. And then after the fact, Nighthawk is reviewing surveillance footage from the security cameras. All the prisoners have been reclaimed except for Echo, who had been in prison there. And then he finds some footage of some people helping her escape. And it's Blade and Captain America, who obviously, as we saw previously, they recruit her to help them fix reality. And then there's a backup story here, again with writing by, I believe, Jason Aaron, isn't it? Yeah, by Jason Aaron and with art by McGinnis. That's what all these backup stories have. And we have Nighthawk fighting Ronin. And of course, originally Ronin was Hawkeye. And then was, I think, Echo, actually, for a point. The Ronin identity has changed hands a few times. But they're fighting here in Washington. And I guess Nighthawk caught this Ronin character trying to sneak into the squadron's headquarters. And then Ronin teleports away. He reappears in Africa. And then his appearance is like a hologram. And we see that actually it's Black Panther. And then he's confronted by a couple of other figures. And it's Captain America and Blade. And obviously they're going to recruit him to try and restore the universe to the way it was before. I mean, as far as the backup, it's so short. I mean, it's like 4 pages, you know, but McGinnis's art is good. But other than that, it's really hard to have a feel about that. But overall, I liked this issue. Again, the art, you know, I think it's, I wouldn't say I love the style, but it fits the feel of the story they're telling. You know, the artist, who is the artist again? R.M. Guerra? Not sure. He does a good job of portraying the villains. They're all really kind of freakish and crazed looking, which I think fits the story well. So I give a thumbs up to this one. So far, I'm pretty much enjoying this whole Heroes Reborn story, and I encourage you to check it out. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments, and if you would, please do like this video, and also please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.